I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Ever play roulette? Well, let me give you a word of advice. Always bet on black. Oh, passenger 57, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love all of the movies here on Real Action, but there's a special place in my heart for passenger 57. This is straight Wesley Snipes, no chaser, 1992, when he was at the top of his kick-ass powers. It's Snipes using all of the cool martial arts we know and love him for, but in the confined space of an airplane, fighting a terrorist with all of the sadistic charm of a Hannibal Lecter. This is pure, brisk 90s action fun at its best, and it never gets old. There's a reason Wesley Snipes is the first to be featured twice in Real Action. You might want to go and check out that Demolition Man vid too, slacker. And it's that he's simply all around incredible and different from other stars of the era. He's quick, agile, got James Bond levels of cool, funny as hell, and he makes Woody Harrelson look hella legit just by standing next to him. In 1992, Snipes was on an incredible roll with New Jack City, Jungle Fever, and White Men Can't Jump. But it was Passenger 57 that set the stage for him to become a gigantic action star, and the guy who would basically help modernize the entire superhero movie genre as Blade just 6 years later. What's cool about Passenger 57 is that it's sort of a hybrid of Japanese martial arts and Die Hard style action. Different in style from a Stallone or a Schwarzenegger, Snipes plays John Cutter, and with a name like that, you know he never introduces himself as just John. A security specialist with a tragic past, Cutter was helpless to stop a robber who murdered his wife. You know, he's still haunted by it because we get one of those sweaty, super aggressive workout scenes where he relives the trauma. This is basic American genre stuff right here. But then you also get a moment early on where Cutter kneels and burns incense at a shrine, an act he would mirror years later in Blade. There's a relatively simple plot between all of the F-bombs. Cutter, who works as an airline security instructor, where he has to put up with brassy flight attendants ruining his classes, somehow ends up on the same plane as Hans Gruber-esque terrorist Charles Rane, a detached psychopath with no compunctions about killing federal agents and passengers. But what he kills most? Really corny dialogue that would probably sound terrible coming from anyone other than actor Bruce Payne. There's a great deal of equity here between Cutter and Rane. The movie actually begins with Rane, known infamously as the Reign of Terror for his series of bombings. The opening credits are like something out of a psychological thriller about serial killers, as X-ray images of Rane roll across the screen. We actually end up in a hospital room where Rane is about to get facial reconstruction, only to refuse the offered anesthesia. There will be no pain. And look, it's cheesy as hell, but Payne makes you believe it. And Rane is right. There isn't any pain, because he knew the FBI was about to burst in. His escape plan fails, and he's brought aboard the plane to be taken to trial elsewhere. Of course, Rane has a plan. To get an idea how cold Rane is, when he first takes over the plane's cockpit, he asks, "Who's in charge here?" When he gets an answer, he immediately shoots that dude in a brain pan, leaving blood all over the glass for the remainder of the movie. Later, this sadistic side would be repeated when he callously murders a hostage after asking him about his family, all in front of Cutter, who was forced to relive the scenario that took his wife. Rane is impossibly creepy and so indifferent, which is what makes the one time he gets excited so uncomfortable. that same brassy flight attendant, Marty Slayton, played by the gorgeous Alex Datcher, catches Rane's eye, and it's clear he's thinking up some nasty stuff to say to her, much to the chagrin of his accomplice, Sabrina, played by young and very exotic Elizabeth Hurley in one of her first roles. Clearly excited by his power over Marty, Rane strokes his gun suggestively, and this skin-crawling exchange happens. Rane is a madman, but clearly not insane. Don't ever call him insane.
Have I made myself clear?
Yeah.
It is the nature of man to confuse genius with insanity. Now, repeat after me. Charles Rane is not insane.
He more than meets his match in Cutter, of course, who has more to deal with than just a homicidal killer. Passenger 57 is interesting for the way it embraces having a black hero. One of the movie's chief gags is that Cutter is constantly mistaken for Arsenio Hall, or as part of the problem. Casual and overt racism is everywhere. Forced to land in a small airfield in Louisiana, Cutter is mistaken for one of the terrorists by Sheriff Biggs, who chooses to believe the lies of Rane, a demonstrated murderer, over Cutter's pleas of innocence. Ain't that a bitch?
Oh man, first this Arsenio shit, then this.
Passenger 57 was directed by Kevin Hooks, who is still probably best known for playing Morris on The White Shadow. He directed a number of action flicks, including the Lawrence Fishburne, Stephen Baldwin buddy comedy Fled, and Patrick Swayze in Black Dog. Passenger 57 was his biggest and most memorable film by far. He even got his dad a role, and had him shot. Hooks doesn't need to do much to make Snipes look good. What separates Snipes from other stars of the era is that he's totally credible no matter what he does. Passenger 57 is Snipes pulling off plenty of quick kicks, throws, and combos, which he makes look graceful and brutal thanks to his martial arts background. There's never any reason for Hooks to cut away from Snipes, to hide anything he's doing, because it's all him. This is what he does, and he's good at it. That's what separates Snipes' fight scenes from almost any other. Nobody ever has to cover up what he's doing, so they have a seamless, smooth quality. Even when he does some silly flourish, like when he's beating this poor dude with a golf tee and striking combat poses, Snipes makes it look cool as hell and like something you wish you could do. Here's a hint. You probably can't. This tight quarters knife battle is simply fantastic for Snipes' fluid motions. Because not even Snipes can stop fighting on a plane from getting a little repetitive, there's a sort of silly cat and mouse sequence at the state fair, which gives us the chance to see how Cutter equips himself on a Ferris wheel, and hey, he's the good guy, remember? As far as fun quotes go, most of them come from Cutter's many threatening exchanges with Rane and Biggs.
If anybody else gets hurt on that plane, it's gonna take a hell of a lot more than a prison cell to keep me from ripping your fucking nuts off.
I'd come to expect more from you than cheap vulgarities.
I'm supposed to trust you.
Trust your instincts.
My instincts are to wax your ass all over this floor.
That's the American way, isn't it, brother?
Put yourself in my place, Mr. Cutter. What would you do if you were me?
Kill myself.
I thought all you ham-hocking country biscuit-eating boys knew how to drive. Was that a bunch of bullshit or what?
I ain't had a challenge like that since I was in high school.
And of course, this one that led to millions of bad roulette players staking their fortunes on a corny line of Wesley Snipes dialogue.
Charlie, you ever play roulette?
On occasion.
Well, let me give you a word of advice.
Always bet on black.
But this is also back when Tom Sizemore was doing some of his best stuff. As Cutter's friend and boss, Sly Del Vecchio, he's the one who gets Cutter into this mess, then tries to use it to his own advantage. He also has a Mr. T level fear of helicopters and is jealous of Cutter's easy way with women. But the real howlers are from Ernie Lively as the dimly unaware bigot, redneck stereotype Chief Biggs. Just listen to the way he pronounces everything here, like he just fell off the back of the General Lee.
Head of security. Ain't that a pickle? You don't mind me saying so, Mr. Cutter, you ain't done too good a job.
Also separating Passenger 57 from other films was the score by jazz fusion legend Stanley Clarke. This thing is funky, sexy as hell, and sets the tone for Snipes as his own style of action movie star. Passenger 57 has a pretty decent final showdown between Cutter and Rane, with everyone on the plane's life in jeopardy. Rane actually proves a decent opponent, but of course, it ends the only way it could, with a little rainfall. Ba-dum-ps. Afterwards, it's clear somebody had a sequel in mind too. Cutter and Biggs have a chummy send-off where all seems forgiven. Sly is spinning this disaster into a public victory, and of course, Cutter walks away with the girl. So what happened? Nobody really knows. The movie made $44 million on a $15 million budget, and Snipes' career took off like a rocket. It became a cult classic in the years following. And I think they could still revisit it today if somebody wanted to. Snipes would definitely be down. Airline security is a different ball of wax, but if they can get around it and snakes on a plane, Passenger 57 Part 2 can manage.
Tell me you're good at this.
I'm the best. This was your idea of surprise, but ha, motherfucker.
Drop the fucking gun or your friend dies. Damn it! You're making a mistake.
Shut up, boy. You ain't said shit I want to hear.
At a brisk 84 minutes, Passenger 57 remains one of the breeziest action flicks around. 2 years later, Snipes would give us another personal favorite, Drop Zone, followed by Boiling Point, Rising Sun, Demolition Man, Murder at 1600, and of course, Blade. Interestingly, Passenger 57 was originally offered to Sylvester Stallone, who passed on the role. Kinda makes you wonder how the classic always bet on black would have worked. Here's a hint. Always bet on off-white? Doesn't have the same ring to it. I think with Snipes they made the right call. Passenger 57 gets 10 out of 10 Stallones. Thank you for watching our show. If you like what you see, please subscribe to our JoBlo Videos channel. Tell your friends who like this sort of content and turn on the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest videos. We're an independent company and we appreciate all of your support.